Okay. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, health, tax, professional advice. We're not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. This podcast is not intended to replace medical or professional advice. The views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the host or the management. This podcast may contain adult themes, so parental discretion is advised. So welcome. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Laura Ard, founder of Voice Unbound Coaching, whose Christ-centered approach is transforming lives. Laura's journey of reclaiming her voice and identity in Christ has inspired her to help women uncover their worth, heal past wounds, and embrace their true selves. Her compassionate guidance empowers clients to unlock their voice, cast their vision with purpose, and take action towards their goal. So welcome, Laura. Welcome. We're so happy to have you today on our podcast, Modern Titus to Women podcast. So we're going to jump right into it because we have a lot to cover in a short time.
Okay. Sounds
So
good to me.
yeah, so I know that you're married twice and
hmm
your recent husband has passed. So we
hmm
want to, express our condolence to you and your family in
Thank you.
regard to that.
Thank you.
So the person, we just want to make sure we talk, people know who we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to talk about
Yeah.
the first marriage,
I always say my past life. Yeah. Yeah.
your past life. Let's talk
Yeah.
about your past life, okay? So,
Well,
what was the early signs that your marriage was heading in the wrong direction? What was
you
the
know,
early signs?
unfortunately, it was right in the very beginning before we
Oh,
even got married. The week of, I knew there was something different, but then I put it off as if it was stress. We were just stressed about the marriage. We were getting married out of town. And so I just let that ride. And I didn't realize that was red flag number one of how he was going to be treating me in our marriage. Um, I stayed in this marriage for 15 years because one, I'm a preacher's daughter. I was raised that divorce not so good, You're supposed to work on your marriage and make it work. And so I thought, okay, I got to do this. He'll change. He'll be better, or either I'm going to have to do better. I started taking it on me. And lots of signs started happening, and I just kept whisking them away because I felt I could change him. I could do better. And Lorna, it was the hardest thing because you do become silent when this happens. You don't tell people what's going on in your life and in your marriage because you don't want people to know you're struggling. You don't want them to know that things are happening in your house that are not good. And when I say that, he abused my son for years. And I did try to call out on that and nothing happened. So what did I do? I closed my site. I just closed down. Okay, nobody wants to help me in this realm, then I'm just going to have to suck it up. And this is how we live. And I went day in and day out doing the thing, living a lie. That was one thing it taught me how to lie. And I hate liars. I don't like lying. And it taught me to lie about it. And we were involved in our church, and everybody always came to our house because we were the fun people. And it was the silliest thing. We came home from a Sunday service, and I had been talking to a lady about selling Tupperware. And I said, I think I'm going to sell Tupperware. You don't have to do parties anymore, so it wouldn't take me away from home. And he went ballistic. And I thought, whoa, that was my wake up call. I'm thinking something so simple. We've been living on eggshells all our life, around him, never knowing how he was going to be. I got to get out of this and don't worry about what other people think of me. I have to get out of this. And so I moved my stuff into my daughter's bedroom and I started the journey of leaving him. Was it easy? No, because you have two children involved. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus, and I didn't want to just give up. But I have felt like it wasn't a marriage that was condoned by God because we weren't in the realm of what he sees a marriage to be.
right.
And so I was like, I have to get out. and I had the support of my family. I
Right.
knew I would, and I left. And not too long after I left, Lorna, I became very sick. And I had to have my mom move in with me and my daughter. My son stayed with his dad. He was old enough to make the decision. He was like 13. Wasn't being abused anymore mentally, yes, but not physically. And so my mom came and lived with me, and I wind up with a diagnosis, and I thought I was dying. I think it was all the stress of those years
Right.
was finally coming out of me. And I got better. If you want me to continue on into what happened over the next couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, because I want to find out how the process of healing from the painful marriage, how it began, how the
Yes,
healing and the steps
right.
that you
Because
took.
I came
Yes.
out of that, like I felt like a piece of crumbled paper, is what I say, just being tossed around. And I truly didn't know who I was anymore, because I had lost all that. I didn't know who I was. Told all these things in my head that I was stupid, I was unworthy, I would never be
Oh,
anything, all those words constantly put in my head. And so I came out of that with a damaged mindset and a damaged heart. And my daughter, who was so rebellious because of the life she lived. And so I was struggling trying to even be a parent. How do you parent a daughter when you don't even know how to handle yourself? Right. And so I quickly got back in his word and started just down on my knees. Lord, show me what I'm supposed to do here when I don't even know who I am. And I knew one thing, though. He said to me, you're a child of God. You
absolutely.
are here with me. I am here with you, and I will lead you each step of the way over this next journey of your season of your life, right? We have all these seasons in our life. And I was like, okay, Lord, I'm on back in church, a different church. I went back to my dad's church, got myself involved again, feeling good about, my smile coming back. And it was
Right.
true. It wasn't a lie. I wasn't having to pretend that I was happy.
Right.
And so for about 2 years, I did that, just staying real active in in the word and feeding my soul with, praise and worship.
Right.
And I didn't go to counseling. I didn't do any of that type of work for myself, but I felt like I was leveling up and finding who I was again. And then
Right.
about 2 years in, I thought, maybe I should try to meet somebody and get back out there again. And I did a few of those dating apps, and I was like, nah, that's not for me. I don't like that. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
scary.
And so, what I did, it was December, it was Christmas, and I was feeling kind of lonely, all the blues. And I thought, I'm going to place an ad in the paper and I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to talk about what I am and who I am and what I want to attract into my life. And I had about 3 gentlemen write back to me. I met one on a Friday night for dinner. We knew it was just, okay, nice to meet you kind of thing. And then I had another one answer, and he agreed to come to my church on Sunday and meet me.
Wow, that's good.
And he got out of that car, Lorna, and I was like, okay, I've just met the man that's going to be with the rest of my life. I knew it as
That's
soon as I
beautiful.
saw him that he was the one. And we walked into that church and we were singing and praising God. And I just felt the Holy Spirit around us. Like,
Wow.
y'all,
That
y'all are
that's
y'all are
beautiful.
together. Yeah.
That's
He's
beautiful.
your guy. And
Yes.
we went and spent the day together. And it was 3 months later, I married him on March 28th
Three months.
on Good Friday. And so we had the Good Friday and March 28th.
Well,
So he said we
yes.
had 2 anniversaries.
Right. 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 Right.
So I got into that marriage, and I had a man that truly respected me as a person, who loved me, but yet I still had all those insecurities inside of, oh, he's going to be mad if I do this, or if I don't ask if I can do this, or if I don't have the house cleaned a certain way, or
Right.
his meal or his shirt ironed a certain way. And he kept looking at me like, you don't have to worry about all that. You don't have to tell me your every move or ask permission to do something simple. Now, when we were making big purchases, of course, we talked to each other, or decisions with the children, because he had to and I had to. And they were both all four the same age. They blended well. We had a very good experience with a blended family. Another God-given thing,
Right.
because there's a lot of struggle in that for families when you're
Yes,
bringing
that's
in
true.
children. And it was meant to be. I mean, it was just beautiful. And he had a business where he traveled all over the country doing chainsaw safety training. I'm like, what is that? Chainsaw
Right.
safety training. But he said that was, his biggest scare in getting married. Would I be able to handle him not being home because he traveled all the time? And I
Right.
said, sure, I can handle it. It was so hard. I cried every time he left. I didn't like him being gone. I didn't create trouble, but it was so hard to see
It's
him leave.
hard. Yes.
And so about the second month in, I'm like, I got to come up with an idea. And so I did. And I came up with us traveling in an RV to go to these training site
Oh, wow.
locations
That's good. That's a
together.
good idea. Yes.
And he's like, well, that's not a bad idea. And so he sat down and figured it all up, the cost, what it would be for us. And, we had sponsorship from different companies that were helping us, and it worked out. And so I traveled with him, and it was awesome. And so then we were together all the time.
Right.
And then about, I guess, 2012, my daughter was having some issues with addiction and trouble in her life. And I took two of her daughters, my first two grandbabies, and I brought them home and I started raising them. So I had to come off the road. And that was another
Right.
hard season of time in our life. And I brought the girls home. We raised them for 8 years until they were old enough to go on their own. And then I said, I'm back. I'm back out on the road. I want to be back with you.
All right.
And we were just such a powerhouse couple in that. God blessed us in every aspect of our life. And I'm going to get teary eyed.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. And not everybody have or gets an opportunity to find true love
Yeah.
second time around. So consider yourself blessed, and you're gonna miss him because he was
Oh,
a good
yeah.
thing.
We
Yeah.
had such a good thing.
Yeah.
And then it bringing us into the season
Yes.
of him getting cancer again. He had it,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
made it through it. And then he
Right.
had colon cancer come back and heart failure. So he was hit
Yes.
with a double. And so
Right.
in 23, 1920, I mean, 2023 of August,
2023. Yes.
yeah, we were brought off the road because he could no longer work.
Right.
And so for a year, I was a caregiver
Right. Yes.
in
Yes.
sickness
Yes.
and in health.
That's how it goes. But I want to go back a little bit with what you were speaking about. You know that sometimes God has something else for us, but we're afraid and we just hold on to what we know or what we considered. But especially when women are going through situations in abusive relationship, the person strips you down, so you don't have any value for yourself. You think this is the best I can do. But sometimes when you let go of what you have there, God is always going to provide
Yeah,
for us.
he does.
Always provides a lamb in the
Mm-hmm.
ticket. I
Yeah.
always remember that. He always
Yeah.
provides a lamb in the ticket.
Oh, yeah. He is in the midst of it all. I
Yeah.
don't doubt that.
Yes.
He knows my heart and how I don't like it.
Right.
I don't like being a widow. I never thought I'd say those words.
No,
Um, and
no,
you don't,
it's not an easy journey. It's not
no.
an
And
easy
we
journey.
plan our life out, all of
Yes.
us. We say,
Right.
oh, and when we get old and when we retire, we're going to do this and this and
Yeah.
this, knowing God has the big plan. He
The big
has the
plan.
final plan,
There it goes.
and he knows your days. They're not determined by us as a human.
Buddy. Yeah.
And so when I had to, I knew he was not going to get better.
Right.
He did not want to have treatment again, which
Right.
I
Right.
understood that, and his heart
It's
couldn't have
terrible. It's
handled it.
brutal. It's
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah. And his heart couldn't have taken it. So he lived longer than he probably should have. Um, but as he was getting sicker, I told him, I was like, we got to bring hospice in. I don't want us to do this alone. Me particularly, because I need the assistance and taking care of you and making sure everything's
Right.
good. And so August of 2024, we brought in hospice. And, it was a blessing to have them and to be
Right.
with us, And as he progressed, of course, everything else progressed, bringing in the bed and having all
Right.
the things here and just spending every moment I could here with him
Right.
and preparing us. So we lived in another huge home on
Yeah.
property. And so we had to pivot and sell that and move
Right.
into something that we could afford, which we paid it off and had a home, with no mortgage.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
God thing,
Yes.
you know, protecting us, protecting
Right.
me. As
Right.
now as a widow, I'm secure in my home.
Right. Right. Right.
And then that, as he progressed, knowing that day was coming and God prepared me. I knew I said heal him here or heal him there,
There you
you know,
go. Healing's gonna take place either way.
right? He has no sickness
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. He
He's
has no
he's
sickness.
walking in a new body, a new
There you
person. And
go.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
and I
And
rejoice in that, but
yes.
I miss him.
Yeah.
I
You're
miss
gonna you're
him.
gonna miss him. Uh I don't know about you, but I know that I couldn't. There was something. I don't know what it was, but the shoes inside the closet, anything with shoes that pertain to him, I couldn't. I had to get rid of them. It was just an overwhelming thing came
Yeah.
over me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I I immediately cleaned out his closet.
Yeah, it was too much.
It was too much, his dresser. I was like,
Mm.
and I told the kids, I said, don't get angry with me because I probably will move faster than you can in your way. I said, but I want to get things cleaned up. I have to
Right.
have the space because every time I look at it,
Oh yes, too
every
much.
time I see it, I'm not going to do well. And so
No.
it's not that the memories are gone or any of that. It's not
Yes.
disrespectful to him if you move in a
No,
faster pace of
isn't.
cleaning. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I asked, anything that you guys want, come get it so that
Mm-hmm.
you have it.
Mm-hmm.
So they came and got, his little knickknacks from when he was young and his high school
Right.
stuff and all that.
Right.
So these
Right.
kids
Right.
could have that.
Absolutely. Have the legacy to pass on for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have to ask a question about your daughter. You mentioned a couple things.
Yeah.
Do you think because she saw what you were going through, you think it's a byproduct of what you were going through?
I definitely feel like that she chose that route because she was running from the pain that she went through watching our family. And praise God, she's been in rehab for the last almost 5 months. She's
Right.
clean. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, but 41, and it took her all those years. And now she's getting the healing and the recovery and the doing that she needed. And
Right.
most of
Right.
all, she's got Jesus in her life. And I'm
There
just
you
such a
go.
proud and excited mom for that.
You know, caregiving itself is very demanding. It's very challenging. So how did you navigate the emotional and physical demand of caring for your husband?
Oh, I was exhausted, but I know staying in the word because his words are powerful. And
Absolutely.
so staying in his word every day gave me the strength to face the
Hmm.
day.
Hmm.
And him speaking to me and knowing that no matter the circumstances, no matter the outcome, God never leaves us. He's always with us. And so, and then also, a healing process that I went through. It's been 3 years, called the 180 method. And I personally went through that program. A dear sweet coach of mine developed it. It is a faith-based coaching program. It is unlike, your self-help programs or the self-help books, which I don't knock them, but they're temporary. And the 180 method is a permanent type healing that you're always healing, right? We have levels of
Right.
healing always in our life because we're changing
Right.
seasons of life. And so I was one, though. I felt like I had made it through those things. So I didn't need healing. What do I need healing from? And I had met her again at another conference, and she said, don't you think it's time? I said, you know what? I'll go through your 12-week program because I want to know what it's about and anything to do with God and to be closer to Him, let's do that. So I went through the 12-week program, and there was a situation where one of the sessions that you sit back and you visit yourself as a young child. And you can go back to like when you were real young, and then you can go back to when you're a little bit older. And it didn't have to be sad things that you go back to, but it will be whatever God leads you to sit down with and have a conversation with her. And so it took me back to when I was 13. And Lorna, I was raped at 13. And I did not tell a single soul about that. And I held that in all those years. And I see now by doing that, the choices of men I was making, the way I was making decisions in my own life is because I had held that secret so deep. And when I was able to finally release that and have freedom from that and healing, deep soul healing, that was incredible. And
Yes.
so right away, I was like, if I can have something like that, I know there's women that need that. And so I want to learn this system. I want to learn this program. And so I took the classes with her to be coached on how to become a 180 method coach to help women. And it is for me to help them find their voice in loss and being in a marriage that of a narcissist, maybe a loss of a child. And, being a mom, being all those things where you just start losing who you are because you
Right.
think that's all you can do.
Yes. That's
So,
so cool.
very important in your healing journey is that you build your relationship with God. You draw closer to him and you work out of the being instead of the human side because human we react to everything. In the
Mm-hmm.
being we're in our God-given personalities and we react better.
So how does the 180 method differ from the traditional method that people use? What's the difference? What's the fundamental difference?
So again, it is all Christ-centered. It's not a temporary fix. It's not a where it's your I mean, I don't knock these either, but where you're always saying the positivity of things all the time. This week I'm going to do this and I'm going to be this and I'm going to do not that's bad, but what happens when something triggers you, you go back to the negative side. It's like the yin and yang.
Right, right,
You're over here doing this and over there doing that, but that line that goes down the middle is where you want to be. That's the God-centered line of living in his purpose for you, which his divine purpose is what? Love. You're living in the being instead of in the human ego. And that's edging
right,
God out, right? Ego is
right.
edging God out. So totally different because I've
So
been
so
through some other coaching programs.
so what's the core principle? I'm trying to get at what's the core principle
Well,
of
it's the deep soul healing. You're
this? Okay,
you're you're able to get in there and truly heal from something that you keep wake. It's the 360 cycle, right? Every
right.
time we get up, we do the same thing. We're circling back
Mm-hmm.
around 360, 360. And so we're going to get off and go 180 because 180 takes you to the healing process
Right.
instead of just sitting there in the same, you get up every morning and you're frustrated and you can't deal with something because you don't know how to deal with it. And so on the 180, we're going to learn the steps in healing those thoughts and how to
Mm-hmm.
put the thoughts behind you.
So you're really going to the root of the matter. You're going to find a root cause.
Hmm.
That's it.
Hmm.
Is it fair
Yeah,
to say
because you're
so?
going to go back. Usually it's
Right.
something in your
Yeah.
past, or it could be something
Mm-hmm.
in just the last few months that you're
Mm-hmm.
carrying and you don't know how to release it.
Mm-hmm. Can you share a success story of, with, you know,
Well, I have
one of
one
your
that I've been
clients?
working with, and, just midway through her journey, she has realized that she has never wanted to put herself first. She's always felt like if she just do good, do good, do good, and not do anything for herself or believe in herself enough about who she is, her talents, you know, she never talked about that until we sat down and did an exercise. And I said, you're avoiding something. You're avoiding you. I want to know about you. What is it about you that you love and you think about? And when she started talking about it, she started crying
Oh, wow.
because she
Mhm.
was like, I've never even thought of myself really. I'm always just doing for everybody and not thinking about who I am in God's sight, you know? And so when she was able to realize that, she had a whole new look on her face, about realizing who she truly is.
Right, right, right. In what way does the 180 method incorporate mindful and self-compassion practice?
Because you're able to look at yourself in a different light. Because again, like I told you, I was always told I was stupid, I wasn't smart, I was always going to be alone. And those fears ride with you for a very long time. And I have to
Yeah.
fight still the alone feeling, because here I am now a widow. Oh, yeah, they're right. I'm going to be alone. But no. So it teaches you how to look at it from God's perspective, that you are never alone
Right.
and that, you can work through these things with his guidance, um, and not of the world and how they tell you and to do.
So when you have a client, how do you measure the person's success in the program?
How do you
How is
help
that?
them be successful in the program? Or what is success to you? What does that mean? And that's the first question we ask them. What does success mean to you? And a lot of times it's by a lot of the jobs, the things they do. And success is a valuable thing in our life, but it's not all about the work we do. It's the way we treat ourselves and who we are and how we show up.
Right.
And that's just teaching them to work out of the being instead of the human side of ourselves.
Hey, so if I just want to compare, so when somebody hearing about the 180 method, what are some of the misconceptions like when your clients come to you? What are some of the things that they say that's a misconception about the 180 method?
Probably that they're going to have a quick fix and that
Oh,
they're not going to have to do the deep work. They think they
okay.
might like a surface healing. And I
Mm-hmm.
was one of those, I'll just tap it away and I'll be okay and I'll be positive and I'll think good about myself and we'll all be all right. But we have not. We have not gotten deep down where we've buried it. And women are good at burying stuff, right?
Yes, that's true. That's true.
We are so good at saying, yeah, pack that down. I'll be
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
And that's where we go deep. And we
right,
we have, the techniques and the program where it asks the questions that lead you into that thinking pattern of, oh, wait, okay, now I remember that. And now how can I take that and 180 it? How can I change that thought?
right. Well, we could go on for hours because this is a very interesting um, concept, method, and I'm sure our listeners will want to hear more about it. So if you could tell our listeners how how they can get in touch with you and the freebies that you have or anything like that, you can use this
Yes,
time.
yes. I have a website, voiceunboundcoaching.com, and there's all the pages there. They can click and go to the 180 method and set up a free one-on-one discovery call with me. And we'll go through some things to see, what it is that might need some help in that area of healing. And then also the freebie is my 5-day journal prompt. And I love having those available. I do them quarterly. So there's a new one out that just came out this month. And they get that free just by going on my homepage and putting their email, and then it'll be sent to them every morning to their email. And yeah, I just love to talk to them.
So thank you for joining us today, Laura, and just reminding us of the power of reclaiming our voice and the identity in Christ. You know, as we move forward, we want your story to inspire and for people to embrace your true purpose. People to embrace
Yes.
their true purpose so that the light can shine.
Yes.
I thank you
I
so much.
thank
Yeah.
you for having me today.
No, any last words? Any
Oh, yes, please, please.
golden
No.
nuggets of wisdom? You want to go
Notice?
ahead?
Yeah. My biggest thing is don't let the shadows of your past dim that light that God gave you to shine.
Right. That's beautiful. Yeah, right. So until next time, keep your voice unbound and your faith strong.
Amen. Thank you, Lorna.
Amen. All right. Let me